We're live now, Councillor Stagg.
Thank you. Good afternoon and welcome to the Traffic and Transportation Portfolio Decision Meeting, the first virtual meeting of the portfolio. I'm Councillor Lynn Stagg, the Cabinet Member for Traffic and Transportation, and chairing the meeting today. We're meeting virtually in response to the limitations placed on government by the COVID-19 pandemic. Until recently, the law stated that all members had to be present in the room to make formal decisions at meetings. However, the law was amended in response to the COVID-19 emergency, and councillors are able to hold public meetings virtually. This will be in accordance with the local authorities' coronavirus flexibility of local authority meetings regulations 2020, number 392, the regulations. Members of the public are invited to view the meeting, and there has been the opportunity for written representations to be submitted. This is a new experience for many participants, and we will all need to exercise patience and understanding whilst we familiarise ourselves with the new arrangements. Those present are requested to keep their microphones on mute and to only turn them on when they are called to speak. Members are requested to keep their cameras turned on at all times. Officers are requested to turn their cameras on only when they are presenting their reports or answering questions. If anyone would like to speak, please write the name and RTS, which stands for requested to speak, in the chat function, which you'll find somewhere on your screen. There's a bar that goes across above the bottom bar. Right. Please access chat from the horizontal menu bar. Right click to bring it up, not the icon on the left hand side. Each time you speak, please say who you are so it is clear who is speaking. The Cabinet Member will monitor the chat debate to ensure everyone has the opportunity to speak. Now that may be difficult. I may not be able to do umpteen different things at the same time, but I'll try. Democratic Services will assist the Cabinet Member by advising verbally meeting if someone has asked to speak but has not been called. If there are technical difficulties, we will endeavour to resolve these and where necessary have a brief adjournment, but the meeting can proceed if quorate. I will now explain the running order for this meeting. After apologies for absence, members will declare any interests, then I will receive reports. Introductions. I would now like to invite those present to introduce themselves. I will read your names out, starting with members. Can you please reply by stating your name and saying present? I will pause for a few seconds between calling each person. Those who are not able to confirm they are present will be recorded as absent from the meeting. Please can I ask everyone taking part today to confirm they are present. Right, I will start with the members, and I will say, Councillor Bosher, are you present? Please, on your microphone to confirm.
Councillor Bosher, present, Lynn.
Thank you. I now call on Councillor Graham Heaney. Please turn on your microphone and introduce yourself.
Councillor Graham Heaney, thank you.
Thank you. That wasn't very clear, actually. Can you? I don't know if you need to sit a bit further forward, Graham.
Councillor Graham Heaney, present.
That's better. Thank you. Anna, should I now ask the officers to introduce themselves, or will I do that at every?
I think yes, please. If the officers can introduce themselves.
Thank you. If I go around, let me see. Who have I got here? Well, I know Kevin's here. So, Kevin, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, Kevin McLeod, Parking Manager for Portsmouth City Council.
Was Wayne here, Wayne Leighton? No? Okay. Haley Truck.
Sorry, I'm here. Sorry, Wayne Leighton, Finance Manager, present.
Apologies, Wayne. Thank you. Kirsty?
Hi.
Nikki Masson?
Present and correct.
Thank you. Felicity Tidbury?
Felicity Tidbury, Transport Planning Manager, present. Thank you.
Thank you. Michelle Love.
Yeah, Michelle Love, Safer Travel Manager, present.
Thank you. I think I'm getting feedback here. Is there anybody else I haven't called?
Sorry, Councillor Stagg, my computer froze. I'm Hayley Trower. I'm the Air Quality Lead for Transport.
Oh, thank you, Hayley. I thought you'd said, I can't remember.
That's okay.
Yes, because I also had myself, Michael McLaughlin, Highways PFI Commercial Manager, present.
Thank you. Right, I think, is that all now, Anna?
Yes, Councillor Stagg, it is. I think all the officers present.
Right. First thing I need to ask now then, are there any apologies?
Pam Turton in Transport sent apologies.
Thank you. Members, do you have any declarations of interest?
No, Lynn.
I should come. I forget that people can't necessarily see you. Thank you, Simon. Graham.
No declarations of interest.
Thank you very much. I note that decision was taken by the Chief Executive on the 2nd of April, the last meeting, in response to the below matters in accordance with Standing Order 58 of this Council's procedure rules. Standing Order 58 requires all such decisions to be reported to the relevant decision-making body at its next meeting. Is that all I have to say, Anna?
Yeah, that's all. It's just noted for the record.
Okay, so please note. Lovely, thank you. Right, the first item after that is a car club. And I think that is being introduced by, is it Felicity?
Yes, it is. And Kirsty's here for any technical questions as well, should we need them.
Lovely, thank you.
Thank you. So this paper highlights the opportunities of developing a car club in Portsmouth following approval of the capital costs in the Air Quality Improvements Capital Programme earlier this year. The introduction of a car club would support the current work being undertaken on air quality and the climate emergency, and would provide an alternative choice of mode of transport to the private car, supporting a reduction in private car dependency, and also fully aligning with the emerging local transport plan 4. As outlined in the report, further market testing and research still needs to be undertaken to understand potential demand and our approach to a car club in Portsmouth. Therefore, the recommendations of the paper are to note the contents of the report, and secondly, to approve the development of a car club for Portsmouth, including further research and market testing, followed by undertaking of a procurement process to establish a car club provider. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Felicity. Councillor Bosher, have you got any questions or any comments?
Yes, I have, if you can, please, Councillor Stagg. Just looking through this report, we're taking this all the way through from developing it and undergoing from a procurement point of view. And I notice in the finance director's comments, I think it was something in the region of £200,000, £220,000 to set this up. I just have some concerns as to at what point would we possibly pull the plug, being a bit negative, I have to say here, when you look at the fact that it's been tried in the city before and has failed, and there's only one that we know of that runs out of, I think it's out the Fratton area, with a few vehicles. So it strikes me that, notwithstanding the air quality part of it, best part of £250,000 is an awful lot of money to spend on something that has previously failed and isn't really a big success in the city. And I just wanted to get some understanding of are there any break points at which we think this is not going to be financially viable to actually do?
Felicity or Kirsty?
Do you want me to pick up on that one? Yeah, the amount that you mentioned, Councillor Bosher, is actually looking to be split partially between the introduction of a car club and also some work with workplaces, offering some funding to help them support like measures for walking and cycling. But also, as Felicity has mentioned, there is still some further research to be done, market testing. We need to be clear of the demand in the city. We know from other examples that car clubs can be very successful and have a huge potential benefit. But clearly, we're all aware of the situation, particularly with COVID-19. Of just checking, the situation and the level of interest in the city before we would take it to the next stage.
Anything else?
Yeah, I mean, I understand what you're saying, and I think everything needs to be explored. It's just that the recommendation that you've actually got looks at approving the development, just reading it here, improving the development of the car club, further market research and market testing, followed by the undertaking of a procurement process. Now, that's obviously going all the way to the final point with that. I'm just wondering whether, because again, I look at it and think it's £250,000, and you could look at a lot of, having done several traffic calming out of £214,000 that we've done in the city on the Emergency Active Travel Fund. This is sort of the equivalent sort of amount that we're actually talking about here. And I'm just wondering whether it's prudent to introduce a break point in the recommendations before you go into the full procurement exercise, rather than just approving to go all the way to the final stage in one go, Lynn. So just being a little bit cautious as to whether we possibly, I mean, it could be spending £220,000 on a roaring success, but it could also end up being a white elephant if we're not careful, and that money could have been spent elsewhere on filtered permeabilities and other bits and pieces to achieve a similar sort of thing. I keep seeing Wayne popping up in the picture.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just going to go over to Wayne because he's the very cautious one with money, aren't you?
I think the finance comments basically say that we're not going to commit to any agreement unless we've got a way of meeting the ongoing revenue costs. So that effectively, the break point that you're asking about is, I think we could do some soft market testing and understand what the various business models are, of which there are an array, but we won't commit a significant proportion of this budget until we have done a full financial appraisal on what the ongoing commitment is.
I think my point, Lynn, is I understand where where Wayne's coming from, but I think my point is the fact that the recommendations don't quite reflect that caution, and maybe you need a second recommendation in there that looks at coming back to yourself maybe once a financial appraisal and the market testing has been done before making the final decision, if you see what I mean. It's not a case of being political, it's more a case of being cautious as much as anything.
I just wonder whether it should be added to the recommendation, because it says further research and market testing but only followed by if it's viable.
Mm-hmm.
Yes?
Yeah. Yes, that's certainly the thinking. Like, yeah, further research is needed before you would move on to the next stage.
Does that sound better to you, Simon?
Yeah, it certainly does. I think you need to have some sort of break there where we can make a decision on it before we just perhaps go charging in, because certainly, as I said, with things like filtered permeabilities and stuff like that, there could be quite a lot done in that side of it, rather than perhaps spend, say, the same sort of money as tranche one of the emergency active travel money on something that might prove to be a disaster. It's just there are some good comments in the report, but they don't paint a positive picture, shall we say, from the potential for something like this in Portsmouth.
Graham, have you got any comments or questions?
Yeah, I think it sort of follows up on what Simon was saying, actually. I noted that we had attempts at getting schemes going in previous 2005, 2008, and they haven't really worked. And I wondered if we'd done any sort of assessment as to why they hadn't been successful before we started promoting a new scheme, in order to learn the lessons of why they hadn't worked before. Because it seems to me, like Simon says, it's potentially quite interesting. It would be good if we could get people to share cars, and possibly the area where that might be more productive would be looking at companies and seeing if we can get them on board, because they might be more appropriate rather than persuading individuals. I think persuading individuals to change to a car club is a bit more difficult, unless maybe they don't already have one, or they feel they need to purchase a car but don't want to go to the expense. I think we all feel a bit sort of, if you've got a car, would you want to make a decision about going and doing something on the spur of the moment? Could you do this if you had to share a car? And we have our cars and we do that, but we don't necessarily have that when we don't. So maybe the market for this is going to be slightly different. So I was just wondering whether we've learned any lessons from previous attempts.
And in some places like Bristol and Nottingham have been very successful. So do we know why they've been so successful? What have they done? Is it anything to do with a different population, different mindset? I don't know.
Yeah, apologies, Councillor Healy. I missed the beginning of what you were saying. Unfortunately, I couldn't quite hear. But you were mentioning about companies. The idea of the car club that we're suggesting we look into is largely based around residential, but we would also be looking to see if we can approach some of the larger businesses in the city to see if there is interest there as well. In terms of, as Lynn, as you mentioned, some of the other car clubs, I know they've started off small and then grown, which clearly we would be looking to do if we take it forward in the city. We would start off with a smaller section, and then as hopefully interest grows, we could then expand.
Just to reiterate the point I made at the beginning, I wasn't quite sure if we had learned lessons as to why the previous schemes, which have been operating from 2005 in one case, hadn't been successful or hadn't been expanded, or the operators had decided to pull out because it clearly they hadn't marketed it, or it hadn't taken off. I wonder if we knew why that had been, whether in fact there are lessons that we've learned which we could then apply to this new scheme.
I just wonder whether times are different. Times have changed. There's perhaps more of an appetite for it these days across the country. I'm not saying it's necessarily so in Portsmouth, but I think across the country. I mean, after all, I think I was reading somewhere that to run a car costs you about £3,000 a year. So therefore it works out, particularly if it's replacing a second car, or replacing any car, to save £3,000 a year, because the cost of renting it is not going to reach that amount unless you're going to use it obviously every day, in which case it's a no-go area. But I think, yes, I think try and analyse why the others have failed and why the present ones in other cities are working. Obviously they're successful, but again, they started with small numbers and built up. So with the added bit, adding into that recommendation, so if viable, would you agree? Do you agree with the recommendation? Because I think I do, provided that bit is in there that says we don't just go charging into it, but it has to prove that it is going to be viable. Yes. Okay. Yes. Provided that is in, I'm in agreement with that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. Excuse me. So the wording is if it is viable is added on to the end.
Not at the end. I think it's. Hang on. I'll slide this down now. Market testing. If further research and market testing proves viable, is followed by the undertaking of procurement process. So it's before the undertaking of the procurement process. You need to have something in there about it if it proves to be viable.
There's normally some standard wording that says something along the lines of subject to a satisfactory financial appraisal approved by the Section 151 officer. So shall I send something to Anna that says something along those lines?
Yes,
okay?
Thank you. Yes, you're the money man. That's fine.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. The next one, oh God, I keep losing. My screen won't go down.
Elsie Witt.
I apologise for this. I'm having technology problems. I can't get into it.
The next item's the local cycling and walking infrastructure plan, Councillor Stagg. Do you want us?
Yes, please, and see if I can get this back up.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. I'll carry on while you get back into your technology.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you very much. The report that I'm here to present today is the local cycling and walking infrastructure plan. My technology's now gone haywire. Hold on one second. Okay, so the purpose of the report that we're bringing today is to highlight the draft Portsmouth local cycling and walking infrastructure plan as part of the consultation process, and to seek approval for external consultation to be undertaken. So the recommendations that we've laid out in the report that we would ask the Cabinet member to approve are that it's noted that the LCWIP process has been undertaken to date in developing the local cycling and walking infrastructure plan, that the draft is approved for public consultation, and that has gone into appendices A, B and C, and that the draft summary for public consultation in Appendix D is approved, and the estimated 6 weeks public consultation is likely to be carried out in summer of autumn 2020, and the final version, which will incorporate the results of the consultation, will be brought back to this Traffic and Transportation Committee for final adoption. So in brief summary, the local cycling and walking infrastructure plan has come out of the government's 2017 cycling and walking investment strategy, and the main aim is to make cycling and walking natural choices for shorter journeys or part of a long-term journey. And the idea of the plan is to identify those key routes within any local authority that are used for cycling and walking networks, and work out a strategy in order to increase the number of trips either on foot or by bike. Excuse me. We were awarded 30 days of funding by WSP, or by the DFT, to be used by WSP, the transport consultants, and they produced our background report, which is included within this report, the local cycling and walking infrastructure plan. It's quite a weighty technical document, so as we've said before, a public-facing summary is also going out, which is much more pictorial and has much more visual representation of what we would like to do. Once consultation is finished, and then the final document comes back to this committee for approval, the idea will be that the cycling and walking infrastructure plan sits alongside other transport policies that we have in place, including Local Transport Plan 4 and air quality, in order to provide a basis for future funding bids to come from, because it will provide the evidence and database for that. And that's it in summary. Would anybody have any questions?
Thank you, Michelle. Simon? Graham?
I've only got a comment. I mean, if that's okay, Lynn. I mean, this is only going out for consultation. I think it's the right thing to do, and I'm fully supportive of it. I guess my only concern is that we are LTP4 going out for consultation, LCWIP going out for consultation, Clean Air Zone going out for consultation. I think you get the thread of where I'm coming from. All seem to be going out at the same time. And I just wonder whether that is going to create an element of confusion if we're not careful.
We said this morning, Michelle, yeah, because it is a concern. But it's coronavirus that's held up so many things. This is the problem. So everything is now sort of sandwiched into a short spell of time. So, but you're right. Yeah. Sorry, Michelle.
Yeah. No, as Councillor Stagg said, and we do completely understand that that's a concern for all. To mitigate against that, we've worked very closely with comms to ensure that the messages between the different consultations, it's very clear which what you are replying to in the consultation. And we've also launched it launched yesterday, the Travel Portsmouth website, which brings in all of the different threads that we're currently working on and lays them out so that the public can see the interconnectivity between them, but also has the ability to then break those down into the separate areas of interest. So we have that now visual tool on the website, and obviously there will be officers that will be replying to consultation inquiries, and if they cross over between the different consultations, then as a service we will ensure that that information is given out.
Yes, so the thing is that all three of them are interlinked, aren't they?
Yeah.
Air quality and the cycling improving public health and activity and so forth. Yes, yeah.
Yeah, generally the overarching messages are the same: to improve air quality, to ensure that walking and cycling becomes the first choice for shorter term journeys, and to make the network less congested. So
Councillor Heaney.
Yeah, I noticed that the original report didn't have the Director of Finance's comments in it, and I don't think they've been updated since. So I just wondered if, when it comes to the public report, which is available, that we could make sure that's updated, because I think it says Director of Comments to follow. And that's when I last looked at it, so a day or two ago. So I don't know if that's there, and I'm not sure if I received any Director of Finance's comments. I don't know if there is any finance comment particularly on this report. Well, I know a lot of it is dependent on us getting funding, but yeah.
Wait.
Yeah, no, I've got a version which has got my comments in there. They weren't particularly compelling, other than saying that the funding's there to produce the plan, but the plan itself doesn't actually result in any physical works.
We'll make sure that you receive a copy of the report that have the Director of Finance's comments. But yeah, this is
the earlier version.
this is a strategy document, so it will inform future funding bids. There's no actual funding attached to this at the moment.
Right.
Councillor Bosher.
I was going to say, I mean, I'm looking at another computer, and I'm looking at the link from the PCC website, and that report says Director of Finance comments to follow.
Okay.
So we've obviously got the wrong report up on the actual public website, and if there has been some comments.
We will ensure that the correct report is uploaded as quickly as possible.
And I'm perfectly happy for this to go out for consultation. I fully understand that this is appropriate thing to do. I suppose one comment I do have on the Appendix 5, and I have to say I had to chase for that because I noticed that wasn't on the original pack of reports either, but that one came a bit later. But I did have a look at that.
Gone, Graham.
Sorry, you've lost sound.
It just suddenly goes off for no reason. I don't know why it does. It cuts me off.
That's me
against me.
You.
Yes. Right. So yeah, the map that shows the slightly.
Oh, he's gone again. Sorry, you've gone again. Did you want to put it on?
I didn't touch anything. It just went off.
I got as far as the map that shows
the map that shows the cycle routes.
Okay, right, yeah.
On Appendix 5, the public-facing document, it splits them into different time scales: 0 to 3 years, 3 to 5, and I think 5 to 8 or 5 to 10. And I noticed that none of the routes that are shown there actually is completed within the 3 to 5 years. They all break the routes down into sections. So you're going to have sections of the routes that are not completed. And I'm wondering if we could look at maybe thinking about whether we should try and complete some of them rather than having them some done for bits done by 3 years, bits done by 5 years, bits done by 10 years. Because we're never going to get this integrated cycle network if we don't complete some of them within a relatively short space of time. And I know short may not be 3 years, but just the way it was set out, I don't know if I've misunderstood the map, but that's how it looked to me.
Okay, absolutely. We will look at that. I mean, when the audits took place, what they do is they highlight where the greatest proportion of walking and cycling takes place, and it highlights those parts of the routes that need to be improved in order to improve connectivity. So we have a map that already has everything that is already in place on it. So what I'll do is I'll send that to you, because then it may fill in some of the gaps and explain why that there is, it seems to be disjointed, but actually if taken with the existing network that we have, means that we will then obviously have that will provide the connectivity. So what they're suggesting is the end result as opposed to the starting point, if you see what I mean.
Yeah, I mean, I was looking at the public-facing document because I thought that's the one people look at, and I tried to reflect that back in the technical document, and it's difficult to follow. To catch up with where it was a bit more confusing. So that'll be helpful. Thank you.
Okay, no, that's really useful feedback. And if we need to include the map within the public-facing document that shows the existing routes, then we will make that change in order to include that in the document.
Yeah, that might be a bit helpful. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much for that.
Thank you. Right. The recommendations are to note that the LCWIP process has been undertaken to date in developing the draft local cycling and walking infrastructure plan, to approve the draft local cycling and walking infrastructure plan for public consultation, approve the draft summary of the LCWIP for public consultation, approve a 6-week public consultation to be carried out in the summer, autumn 2020. Note that an updated final version of local cycling and walking infrastructure plan will be brought back to the Cabinet Member for Traffic and Transportation for adoption alongside the results of the consultation in the autumn. And I'm happy to approve all of those.
Thank you very much. Thank you all.
Next one is Shelford Road. No, it's not. It's the Portsmouth Clean Air Zone update. And is that who's? Oh, it's Hayley.
Me.
Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Stagg. So this report is for information only, and it's just to provide an update on the work to deliver a clean air zone in Portsmouth. On the 31st of October 2019, Portsmouth City Council submitted its local air quality plan outline business case to central government. This business case was developed in fulfilment of a ministerial direction requiring the council to undertake a technical study to identify measures that are likely to bring concentrations of nitrogen dioxide within legal limits in the shortest possible time. The outline business case concluded that a Class B clean air zone is required, along with a number of non-charging measures to achieve the level of reductions in air pollution that we need. It wasn't until late March 2020 that government ministers finally approved the outline business case, despite it being very well received. What this delay meant is that the public consultation we had planned for early 2020 had to be postponed, but I'm sure you've all seen that it was launched yesterday, so we're back on track now. Despite this delay from central government, we've been able to carry on with our technical work to inform our final plans. And we've also undertaken a procurement exercise to appoint a supplier to design, install and operate the charging clean air zone. The report also notes the impact of the coronavirus pandemic on delivery of the programme, highlighting that the Class B charging clean air zone is still on track to come into operation in late 2021. Thank you. Has anyone got any questions?
Councillor Bosher? No? Councillor Heaney? Councillor Heaney, you're there? Oh.
He's gone completely now.
Yes, he has, right. Well, I don't know. We've got you with no questions, so that's okay.
We might perhaps wait a couple of minutes until he comes back.
Okay, will do. Yes, just in case he's got some questions. Talk amongst yourselves with the microphones off until he comes back. But I think it seems has been slipping out, hasn't it, with lots of people during the day. When it does lots of times anyway, not just today. So. And presumably, if he should come back, we can always ask him a question and pop it in later, couldn't we?
Yeah, yes, we could. Yeah, to go back to him. I've tried calling him to invite him back, but
So it's a for information only report anyway.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. Just want to know if you had any questions. So we'll move on to the next one. Thank you, Hayley.
Thank you.
And the next one, I think this is Kevin, isn't it? Shelford Road and Eastney Road. So if you'd like to present that, Kevin, please.
Yeah, thank you very much, Councillor Stagg. The report concerns proposals put forward in TRO 16/2020. The proposals are in Appendix A. There were 14 proposals, 2 of which drew objection, and the objections are listed in Appendix B. The proposal in Shelford Road to introduce 16 metres of single yellow line outside Meon Infant School drew a number of objections from residents, mainly on the basis that it was reducing parking availability. The proposal is there to allow more dropping off space for people using the school, and it was particularly in response to one particular individual who is heavily disabled and needs access to the school. So the recommendation is to reduce the 16 metres proposed to 10 metres with an unrestricted parking space opposite number 44. The second area which drew objection was a proposal to introduce 35 metres of single yellow line on Eastney Road and change it from double yellow line to single yellow line. That's proposal B on the TRO. It drew one objection from Portsmouth Cycle Forum on the basis that there was parking on the road would cause congestion, and I think the photographs in paragraph 571 show that it's difficult for larger vehicles to get round when there's vehicles parked in the road. So the recommendation is not to implement that part of the proposal for the TRO. And the final recommendation in the report is to introduce the other 12 proposals set out in the TRO. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Simon, any comments, any questions?
No, not as such, Lynn. I think it's more a localised TRO that we are talking about, but you know we're talking about in one of them improving the safety outside of a school, and you know that would get my support anyway.
Yeah. And particularly as it's for a disabled child, I think that's very important. And I would agree about dropping these new road suggestions. That is Graham's back. Hi, Kristen. It's a dodgy road, that, because it bends quite a bit and it's quite narrow, and it's a bus route as well. So I think the photographs support the Cycle Forum's objections to it. So I'm happy to accept the recommendations. I'd better read them out so people know. The proposed extension of the single yellow line outside Meon Infant School is extended by 10 metres instead of 16 metres, retaining an unrestricted parking space for one vehicle opposite number 44. Secondly, that the proposed change from double yellow lines 35 metres to single yellow line to allow off-peak parking proposed in Eastney Road, the A288, is not implemented due to road safety concerns and increased bus services. And thirdly, that the remaining 12 proposals under TRO 16/2020 are implemented as advertised. So I'm very happy to support those recommendations. Thank you, Kevin.
Hello, Lynn. Can I just say I got completely locked out of the meeting? I do not know what happened. It disappeared. I pressed the rejoin and nothing happened for minutes. and then I was locked out. I couldn't get back into it at all until.
I wouldn't take it as anything personal, Graham. It's
no. It's just that technology. That's why I disappeared.
No, I was joking. I was joking.
Yeah, no, I wasn't. It suddenly just disappeared. So
it was all aftershave, Graham. Sorry.
It's okay.
Well, Michelle was saying she'd been locked out several times today as well, so it's happening to everybody. Right, so the next one is number 8 is MD Kings Area Residents Parking Zone, results of feedback survey. I guess it's you again, Kevin.
Certainly is. Thank you, Councillor Stagg. Yes, item 8 presents the feedback survey from MD Parking Zone. When MD Parking Zone was agreed, there was a recommendation to carry out a consultation with the residents on how it was working within 6 months of it being operational. It went operational on the 16th of September, and the results of the feedback survey have been on our website, but we haven't been able to report them to a T&T decision-making meeting until now. The results of the survey, there were 14% response rate from the survey. About 96% of those were residents. 81% reported that it was easier to find parking space as a result of the zone. 65% said the zone reduced traffic congestion, and 58% said the zone was adequately enforced. Although within that, 10% weren't able to comment because it's difficult to see when parking enforcement is taking place. So there are a number of recommendations that the MD Kings Area Parking Zone remains operational 4:30 to 6:30 p.m. That formal consultation takes place on extending permit eligibility for the adjacent KD zone for all properties on the west side of Grove Road South, because there was a decision taken not to implement them for MD, and that the parking bays proposed under TRO 15/2019 within the MD parking zone for Richmond Road, Grove Road South, Waverley Road, Locale Road and Shirley Road, on which the decision was deferred, are deleted and not implemented within a traffic order. And the final recommendation, because there are a number of comments about blurred boundaries or fuzzy boundaries, that we bring back a report to T&T decision-making meeting on blurred boundaries and how they could operate.
Thank you, Kevin. Graham, any comments, any questions?
Yes, and well, thank you for the report, and thank you for doing the review, because I think there was a lot of different views about the timing of the scheme when it was being introduced. I remember talking to a lot of people about that, and it was very difficult to get a sense of what people really wanted. And I think it's always good to test out how it actually works, because that's really only how you find out. So thank you to Kevin and his staff for doing that. I know you had a lot of pressure with zones, so it was extra work, I suppose, to do that, but very useful. Just to briefly refer to the issue about the fuzzy boundaries, I mean, there are relatively few properties affected in the report. There's 4 in Campbell Road. Would it not be possible to make a recommendation that they are allowed to do that, given that there are only a limited number? And I thought we might have been able to make a decision about that today, because I don't know how long they're going to have to wait before we make a decision if we're going to delay it to another meeting, which probably won't be until September.
I think the process for introducing a fuzzy boundary would be changing the TRO, so we'd have to go back to reconsult to do that, and what benefits some people might not benefit others. So that's why we think it needs a report. I think Nikki wants to add. Nikki.
Yeah, just to add to the point Kevin made originally about this report being delayed. In the meantime, we've actually come up with a solution for Campbell Road and the residents that have complained, in that the first 2 parking bays in Lawn Road, which is on the corner of Campbell Road, will become available, or it's proposed for them to become available to both MD and MC permit holders. And we've drafted a traffic order ready to put that forward. But this is obviously subsequent to when this report was was prepared, so that there will be a proposal in relation to that. But we were asked by the leader to bring a report on blurred boundaries generally, but that won't affect the proposal that's going forward for Campbell Road.
Okay, Graham. Anything else?
Okay, so when might it happen? If there's a proposal already prepared, when might that come? Will that come before the summer break? You know, or will we be waiting till September?
Yes, it's all ready to go. It's included in TRO number 51 of 2020, and I'm hoping to start that consultation at the beginning of August.
All right. Okay.
Thank you, Simon.
No comments, Lynn.
Okay, thank you. So I'm happy to accept the 4 recommendations. So thank you. We now move on to item number 9, permit scheme. Who's that? Is it Tristan? Is that you? Welcome, Tristan. You weren't here earlier, so thank you.
Sorry,
Mike on that one, sorry.
Yeah, so it's Mike McLaughlin, Commercial Manager, Highways PFI. I'd like to present a paper for your consideration this afternoon, which concerns the introduction of the Portsmouth City Council permit scheme for the implementation of both roadworks and streetworks. We have 4 number recommendations. 1, that we approve the introduction of the Portsmouth City Council permit scheme as shown in Appendix 1. That you approve the fee schedules, which includes the lower fees, the discounted fees, the rate of discount and the waivers as shown in Appendix 2. That you approve that the director responsible for transport and in consultation with the Section 151 officer annually review the fees and the fee structure and to ensure that it remains cost neutral, which is a guiding principle of the statutory requirements. And finally, recommendation 4, that the legal order is approved and published for 28 days prior to the implementation date. The implementation date we are proposing is Monday, the 17th of August. The legal order would therefore have to be published tomorrow or Monday at the absolute latest. The scheme will apply to all roads, all public maintainable roads within the Portsmouth City boundaries, but that would exclude, for example, the M275 motorway and any trunk road network as maintained by Highways England. For future-proofing, any roads which become adopted as maintainable highway under development, for example, a Section 278 agreement, is also adopted into the permit scheme. There are a number of benefits which we perceive, which is basically to enhance the management and the coordination of network management activities, to reduce congestion and to make travel much more conjoined experience. Those are the recommendations, the aim of the scheme. Does anyone have any further questions?
Graham. Simon?
No.
Oh. Tristan, do you want to say anything or not?
I didn't want to say much, Lynn. I mean, it is to note that the scheme isn't about making money for the council. This is about improving the service, hopefully having less roadworks and less time spent out there, and ultimately should help us manage both our pavement and our highway works better going forward.
Yes, from my viewpoint, I mean, it's overdue. This should have happened quite a while ago. I think we're one of the last cities, aren't we, to implement this? So so I would go with all 4 recommendations. Yes. So I would approve all those. I've just realised that as well that I thought you were going to start with item number 9, which is the fact that the full plan had been omitted in the June. What was it? The full plan emission permit scheme. Highways Manager was omitted from the forward plan covering July 2020, published on the 29th of June. The Chair of the City Council Scrutiny Management Plan has been notified and a public notice published. So we've got two lots of recommendations here. For number 10, there are the 4 recommendations to approve the scheme, and for item number 9, which is to approve the recommendations that the omission to the forward plan be noted and the publication of the omission notice be also noted. So there are 6 things there to be agreed, recommended. Okay, everybody happy with that? Lovely, thank you. I think that's all. Unless I've missed something out? No? No? Good, okay. That was good. 55 minutes. Well, it's less than that because we took a while to start. So thank you, everybody, very much.
Okay, thank you.
Have a nice evening.
You too. Take care, Lynn.
I'll stop recording now. I'll stop the recording, let you know when it's finished.
Yeah, thank you, Anna. Thank you all the officers as well for taking part.
Thank you.
Apologies, I was late, Lynn. I knew the officers had it under control.
Absolutely.